Have you ever wondered how an entire city could disappear in a single day? Nearly 2,000 years ago, there was a beautiful Roman city called Pompeii. It was filled with busy streets, grand villas, colorful gardens, lively markets, and thousands of people living peaceful lives beneath the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. To its residents, the mountain was nothing more than a part of the landscape. Children played freely, merchants traded every day, and families dreamed about a bright future. No one imagined that the peaceful volcano watching over their city was slowly preparing one of the deadliest natural disasters in human history. In just a few terrifying hours, everything would change. A thriving city would vanish beneath volcanic ash, thousands of lives would come to a sudden end, and Pompeii would disappear from the world for nearly 17 centuries. This is the incredible true story of Pompeii, the city that time could never completely erase. Pompeii was one of the wealthiest and most beautiful cities of the Roman Empire. Located near the Bay of Naples, it was home to nearly 20,000 people. Wide stone streets connected luxurious villas, busy marketplaces, public baths, temples and restaurants that welcomed visitors every day. The city was alive with the sounds of merchants selling their goods, blacksmiths crafting metal, children laughing in the streets, and travelers arriving from distant lands. Wealthy families decorated their homes with colorful frescoes, elegant statues, and peaceful gardens filled with fountains and flowers. For the people of Pompeii, life seemed almost perfect. Business was thriving, festivals brought joy to the streets, and every new day promised hope for a better future. No one could imagine that this prosperous city was living its final days, completely unaware that history was about to change forever. For generations, Mount Vesuvius had stood quietly above Pompeii. The people believed it was simply another mountain that protected their city. Children played on its slopes, farmers grew grapes and olives in its rich soil, and travelers admired its peaceful beauty without fear. But beneath the mountain, something terrifying was happening. Deep underground, molten rock and volcanic gases were slowly building enormous pressure. Day after day, the force hidden inside the volcano continued to grow, completely unnoticed by the people living below. The mountain looked calm, but it was far from asleep. Nature was preparing a disaster that no one had ever witnessed before. Soon, the silence that had lasted for centuries would be shattered, and the fate of Pompeii would change forever. As the summer of AD 79 continued, strange events began to worry some of Pompeii's residents. Small earthquakes shook the ground more frequently than usual, causing walls to tremble and household objects to fall. Animals behaved unusually, and some people noticed thin clouds of smoke rising from Mount Vesuvius. However, because earthquakes were common in the region, most citizens dismissed these signs as nothing unusual. Life continued as always, while the volcano silently moved closer to a catastrophic eruption that would soon change history forever. Then, on the morning of August 24th, AD 79, everything changed. Without warning, Mount Vesuvius exploded with unbelievable force. A massive column of ash, smoke, and volcanic rock shot nearly 20 miles into the sky. The explosion was so powerful that it could be heard for miles across the Bay of Naples. Within minutes, thick clouds of ash spread across the sky, blocking the sunlight and turning day into darkness. Fine volcanic ash began falling over Pompeii like heavy snow, covering rooftops, streets, and gardens. At first, many residents believed the eruption would soon end. Some gathered their valuables, while others panic spread through the streets of Pompeii. Families desperately searched for loved ones, while others rushed toward the city gates, hoping to escape before it was too late. The air became thicker with dust and poisonous gases, making it difficult to breathe. Every step grew harder as the heavy ash covered the roads and collapsed the roofs of many homes. Some people prayed inside the temples, while others carried their children and the few belongings they could save. Fear had replaced hope, and the once vibrant city had turned into a place of confusion and desperation. But an even greater danger was racing down the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, one that no one could outrun. For nearly 17 centuries, Pompeii remained buried beneath millions of tons of volcanic ash. The once great Roman city disappeared from the world, and with time, its exact location was gradually forgotten. Then, in the 18th century, everything changed once again. Archaeologists began uncovering the lost city, revealing streets, houses, temples, and everyday objects that had remained untouched since the day of the eruption. Even more astonishing were the haunting plaster casts of the victims, frozen forever in their final moments. Pompeii had become more than an ancient ruin. It had become a remarkable window into everyday life in the Roman Empire. One of the most heartbreaking discoveries was the plaster casts of the victims. Their final expressions, frozen in time, revealed the fear, love, and desperation they experienced during their last moments. These silent figures transformed Pompeii into one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites in the world. They allowed historians to witness everyday Roman life with remarkable detail, preserved exactly as it had existed nearly 2,000 years ago. Today, millions of people visit Pompeii every year, walking through its ancient streets and standing face to face with history. The city serves as a powerful reminder that nature's force can change the course of civilization in a single day. Nearly 2,000 years later, Pompeii still stands as one of history's greatest reminders of nature's unimaginable power. Its silent streets, preserved homes, and frozen moments continue to tell the story of a civilization that vanished in a single day. The tragedy of Pompeii is more than a story of destruction. It is a story of human life, hope, family, and survival in the face of overwhelming disaster. Every stone, every street, and every preserved face reminds us how fragile life can be. Today, Mount Vesuvius still watches over the Bay of Naples, quiet, but not extinct, because history has taught us one unforgettable